Hi, and welcome to our final stretch presentation. So we are the Crusaders, and we are now at the final mark of our project, and we have completed a lot of different tasks throughout the semester, and we're going to show that all right now. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, I want to introduce the team once again before we wrap up everything. So the team is made up of 4 members, so that includes myself, Ruby Hernandez. I was the client liaison of the group and the documentation lead. And then we have Johnny Tran. He was our team manager and our data modeler. And then Marco Carrillo, he was our code architecture or programming lead and also our testing lead. And then John Brandt with our UI UX designer. And so we made up the Crusaders this semester, and we worked together on getting all of this completed to finally deploy to the client officially. And so we also just want to quickly go over our clients and who we worked with this semester to get this all done. So we worked with Blake Clark mostly throughout this semester. He was the one who would meet with us every week, and we would go over things that would need to be changed or added to the project to make sure that they get the best product possible. And so he's the program manager for the Lifeline ED part of Navigate Recovery. And then we also worked in part with Amanda Strittmatter. So she's the program manager for the Women's Center or the Safe Harbor Addiction Center. And so we also communicate with her in the beginning of the project as well. So now I'm going to pass it on to Johnny while he goes over the problem statement for our project.
Okay, so the problem statement for this project was to help Navigate Recovery, a nonprofit organization who is focused on helping victims of addiction, mostly addiction. While they're focused on addiction, they also provide help for many other types of care, such as homelessness and health insurance, and as well as sex trafficking survivors. But they're mostly focused on addiction, in which they use coaches to help people guide them to resources that they need to help fix their addiction. And then they use what they were originally using was an Excel sheet that they passed around to their organizations. And our goal for this semester was to help them build a website to help them collaborate and share resources in a more effective way with each other.
So this project was pretty much passed on to us by Team Avatar from last semester. So they pretty much chose these technologies, and we pretty much had to learn about them. So pretty much the user starts with the front end, which is Next.js, and then they have to have authentication to log in, which is where Firebase comes in and pretty much authenticates the user logging in. And Node.js works on the backend with Express.js, and we have Postgres SQL, which is the database that we use, which is on Hasura. And that also includes the GraphQL, and that's pretty much the technology stacks that we used for this semester.
So now that we've had a little overview of what exactly it was that we were working with this semester, I want to quickly go over the user stories and tasks that we were tasked with for this actual project and talk about who exactly completed what or what groups of people collaborated to complete each user story. So first, our first user story was to be able to allow the users to create a partner so that coaches can see the newly added partners that are available to them. And so Marco had completed this. This was our user story 1. And so he took on that role and he completed that completely by himself. And then user story 2 was, as a super user, I can edit the information of a partner so that the information in the database is kept up to date. And Johnny and Marco collaborated on that. That was user story 2, and they worked together to complete that as well. And then user story 3, as a super user, I can delete a partner so that coaches will not be able to view partners that are no longer available to them. This is a really important feature that we need because a lot of partners, sometimes they break off ties with organizations, and we don't want to have that information taking up space in the database either. So Marco completed that user story, and that was user story 3. User story 4 was, as a user, I can scroll through a pagination to view 15 resources at a time. And this was to help with web page loading time. And John and I both worked together on that pagination. I was responsible for the actual UI that displays, and then John was the one who built the logic and the code behind the pagination to make it work. So that was user story 4, and we completed that as well. And then user story 5, as a user, I can add and remove attributes to the partner database. And Marco completed that. That was user story number 5. And then for user story number 6, as a user, I can generate a monthly resource usage report so that I can view how many resources were used each month. And I completed that, and that was user story number 6. And so we have some general UI changes on the website. Again, it was given to us from a previous team, so their website looks a little bit different from how I changed it into. So I took the lead on making those UI changes and kind of redesigning the website, not too majorly, but some things here and there. And then finally, Johnny took on the task of getting the website deployed so that our our partner can actually use it, and they'll be able to use that on their daily basis as they continue to help people through recovery. So now we're going to get into the Jira board and be able to visually see what it was that we were committed to completing for this sprint, as well as what we were actually able to complete, and also the burn down chart that lets us see how exactly that was able to happen over time in the time that we had for this sprint. So first, let's go over our burn down chart. So for once, our burn down chart actually looks like a burn down chart, and we had incremental decreases of user story points throughout the entire process as we were working through things the entire time. And yeah, so our burn down chart looks pretty good, and everything was completed on time. We actually got to finish the sprint early, so that's always good. And yeah, so as you can tell, we were able to finish everything that we were committed to completing for this sprint. So let's go ahead and go over that. So for this sprint, we had user story 4 roll into this sprint from the last one, and that was going to be for the pagination. So while we were not able to complete it for the last sprint, we did complete it this sprint. Has a little bit of some bugs, but it's okay. Overall, it works and it does what it needs to do. And so user story 5, we were also able to complete that, and that is, as a user, I can add and remove attributes to the partners database. So this was something that Blake from Navigate Recovery requested us to add into our user stories, because he was asking, hey, what if we need to add certain attributes into the database? Like, how would we do that? And, always we want to make that readily available through the website. We don't want them to be going onto the database and changing things through there. So we were able to implement that as well. And then user story 6, as a user, I can generate a monthly resource usage report so that I can view how many resources were used each month. And we were able to complete that as well this month. And then some tasks that we were able to just quickly wrap up together or get done fully was making the website more responsive to user movements and mobile devices. I was able to complete that as well for this sprint. There was just some minor things that I was able to get in there and complete. And then we also had to edit validation constraints on the database fields just to make sure that the information that's being inserted into the database is correct as to what they need, and not, random data that is not what is being asked for each field. And then also, lastly, we had to deploy, and that's the most important part, because if we don't deploy the user, our client cannot use this. And so we were also able to get that completed at the end as well. So overall, we were able to get everything that we needed done, and that's really great. So that is all for our Jira board. And now let's get into the website. So this is the final website, the home page. So I'm just going to quickly log out. And so as you can see, I'll show you the old one. So this was the old website that was given to us by Team Avatar. The website had a lot of things already done on it functionality-wise, but as you can definitely tell, there are some UI changes, kind of minor in its way. The overall scheme is the same, but you can tell that there's a little bit more responsiveness on the website's part to like user movements and little quirks that maybe we don't realize as we use websites. For example, I thought to myself, like, when I go on a website and I want to go back to the home page, I don't usually look for a button that says home. I click on an icon if it's available. And so I just added that website icon here, and it just takes you back to the home page. And this little thing just moves, it makes it larger, and it shrinks as you hover over and off of the image. And then, yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's sign in first so we can actually have privileges, what we need. And I'll just exit out of this over here too. So we'll sign in into the admin account. And then let's go over quickly the resource usage. So that's in the admin part. So this is something that I worked on for this project. I was responsible for this. So for the resource usage, this was something that was, again, already implemented from Team Avatar, but let's say for this month. So for this month, you can see we have some resources that were used once, and with this information, you want the client to actually be able to make something out of this information. And with that, when you think about that, you think of an Excel spreadsheet. So what I was able to do was make this button appear over here that says export, and then you can download it as a CSV. And let's say we're going to open it with Excel. I'm going to wait for that to load. And then as they're, using this with Excel, they can make charts with this, and then they can save that information, and then they can, use it for however they need to use it, maybe for reports or whatever they need to. So let's say we want to take these that were actually used. We don't need all that extra information in there. And then we can say insert, and we can just make a quick chart with this and there. And then they can just continue to use this with however way they want to on Excel, and it's really useful on their part, and then they can just save it. So that is a feature that I was able to add for this sprint, and I'll quickly go over that code as well, just to show you what exactly was that I did. So it wasn't that difficult. Luckily, Material UI, which is a library that we use for this project, they have something called a grid toolbar export, and so I just imported it, and then I made this quick function that sets up the toolbar, and then when you actually export, the components onto the web page down here, I was just able to add in the data grid that shows the actual resources and how much they've been used on the website. I just added in components a toolbar, and then I added that custom toolbar function that I had declared in the top of the page. And so, yeah, that was really it for the resource usage monthly report function. I did some research for this, so that kind of took the longest part of this, was figuring out how I was going to do it, but at the end, it was actually pretty easy.
Okay, so this is the partners page that we made. It's made a few changes since last time. Last time it just showed a table that when you clicked on it would display details of the information. This time we changed it to more of the card look that the resources page has. So when you click on it, it just simply this shows all the resources it has right now. But as you're able to add more attributes and things like that, it'll be hidden. So there's a see more button to see all the attributes. So we just have all the partners here in one page, 3 per line. And for the code, it was changed from last time. It's important to note that we made some changes to our database to specifically do this. We made a partner attribute page that just contains all the attributes of the partners, as well as changing the partners page to change all the attributes out of it and just move it to a new one. So for that, we have all the attributes here in a query. It also relies on partner comp for the logic, and as well as the resources context for the other part of the logic for the cards. Here's the styling, and we're mapping all of the originally Oleg had it as filters, but we're going to use it as attributes. So we're going to map all of our attributes to an array. And then here we get all the data from the database. And here, this is sort of more styling for the grid. And here's all the attributes for the database. And that's about it for the partners page.
Okay, I'm John. I worked on the pagination for the resources page. What we did was we limited, initially it was showing all 154 resources on one page. Just scroll through. We limited it to 15 resources per page to ease load times. You can either use these arrow keys here to go through, or you can click the different numbers to go ahead and go through. Okay, so yeah, so here's the query to get the resources count, which is, here's the API call to get the resources count. It's put here to deal with, this allows pagination to grab the max resources and then divide, and that's how we get the, divide by 15, and that's how we get the total number of pages. This gets the total number of records for pagination purposes, and you can see down here, we use math seal to round instead of getting odd numbers here.
Okay, so some functionality that was added in by the previous team Avatar, was the add users, which allows you to add a user mostly just it lets you create either a normal user or just an admin user. So I'm just gonna type something in as an example. Then it would give you a prompt, user successfully added. Go back to the admin page. You can see the user right here. A normal user would be named a coach, while a super user would be named an admin. Click on this, click deleted users. The user's gone. And that was added in by the previous team. So what we worked on was the edit partners page. Basically, it says edit partner, but you can basically do anything related to partners in this page. Such as create a partner. I just create one as an example. Something like that. And then it would be displayed at the bottom here as a new partner. You can click on it. You can edit any of the fields here. Click save. Save all of the information. And afterwards, obviously, you can also delete it, and it would delete it off the database as if it was never there. Okay, so the edit partners page largely looks similar code-wise to the regular partner page, at least for just the admin portion. It relies on several different other pages to work, just like the regular partners page, and it pretty much is the same aside from what's in resources comp and resources context, or partner comp and resources context. This is the code to actually update the filters for the partner. And for partner comp, I believe this fetches all the partners and also links to edit resource module, I think, partner module.
All right, so I'm gonna go over these three buttons: the edit partner schema, the add resources, and the edit resource schema. So our group pretty much worked on the edit partner schema, and the previous group, Team Avatar, was the one that implemented the add resources and the edit resource schema. So for the edit partner schema, which we worked on, it's pretty much, it allows the admin to add attribute into the table for the partners. So currently we have the contact person, the name, phone, email, and notes. So if the admin from Navigator Recovery pretty much doesn't want to have notes in the partners tab, pretty much they can delete it, and they can also edit these attributes right here. So for notes, we can just put note, and then we put save. It pretty much saves it. And then we can also add a new attribute. So let's say for test, and then for a default value, which pretty much gives a default value for all the partners, we can just put I guess as an example. And then when we put add, it pretty much adds it right here. So if we go to partners, it's pretty much gonna be right there, the test. They can, the admin can pretty much put anything. Since Blake was the one that recommended us to, if they wanted to add something extra to the partner attribute, they could. So we implemented that. So they can pretty much add something extra to the database. So if we go to the database and we reload the page, it's right here, test. And then if we go to the partners table, it's also right here, test. So it pretty much adds another extra column to the partners table, and it adds the default value what they wanted to put. So that's what it does. And we can also go back there again and delete the test since it's not really needed. And it pretty much just deletes it. So, and if we also go to the partners page, it's not there no more. So that's what was implemented for this semester. It was different from the last sprint, but Blake wanted us to have that implemented into the system if we could, and we were able to implement it. So that's what we implemented, and these two buttons were implemented by the team from last semester. So the add resources pretty much just adds another resource into the resources table. So all of these are pretty much filters that the Navigate Recovery pretty much wanted, and if they wanted, they could add another extra filter, which is what the other button does. So we're not going to really add another resource right now, but pretty much these are the filters that they can put, and then they can just put submit. Pretty much just adds a resource into the resource table. And the edit resource schema is pretty much like the edit partner schema, where you're able to pretty much edit the columns from the tables. So these are all pretty much the columns that Navigate Recovery wanted. So again, we can add a new attribute, pretty much edit the names, or we could also delete. And that's pretty much it for what Navigate Recovery did last semester with these two buttons. And we also worked on the edit partner schema. So we're gonna go over some code. So pretty much we have the edit partner schema, which is what I just talked about. So pretty much it gets the information from the database, and it pretty much builds the attribute form, which is the CSS, and also gets the information from the database. And this is also where it handles the delete. So if the user wanted to delete something, they would get some prompt if they wanted to delete it, or they could also press cancel. So this is pretty much for the edit partner schema. And this is the one that if they wanted to add an extra attribute or an extra column to the table, this is what this JavaScript file does. And as Johnny was talking about the edit partners, this is the code as well for the edit partners. So we have right here the create new partner. Pretty much is a button that the admin can press to add a new partner if they wanted to add a new partner that they've been working with. So this file pretty much, or this page pretty much works with the partner comp, which the partner comp is the one that pretty much gets the information from the database and calls the edit partner model. Yeah, which is the one that actually edits or does the work that edits what the admin wanted to edit. And we also have the partner card. The partner card is pretty much what shows on the page, such as we saw. They're pretty much divided into cards with 3 in each row. So for the edit partner, we have the edit on the edit. So it's different from the partners page. The partner page pretty much just shows the on view. So when they click on view, they just view the information of the partners. But on edit, they have the ability, which is on the admin page, they have the ability to edit the partners. And yeah.
And so, yeah, that is all that we were able to complete for this sprint. And in general, what we were able to deliver to our client for this semester. We were really happy that we were finally able to get this deployed, and now they will be able to use the Navigate Recovery platform in their everyday use as they're going to bedside sessions with those who they're seeking to recover from any addictions or issues that they're currently going through. So we're really happy that we were able to get all this completed. And yeah, that's pretty much it for our sprint. So we hope you enjoyed our video and learned something from what we were able to do, as well as in conjunction with what we were given from Team Avatar from last semester. So that's it for our project. Thank you.